Chosen one, heaven has stilled the noise around you for this moment. You are not here by coincidence. This is not an algorithmic accident. This is divine interruption. The hand of eternity has paused your scroll to whisper something that will mark you forever. Your prophetic season begins, and a clear confirmation is on its way. December 6th will not be an ordinary day. Listen closely. You have felt it stirring already, the restlessness, the inner pressure that refuses to let you stay where you've been. The world has tried to name it anxiety, but heaven calls it awakening. You are not like the rest. You have been marked by fire, chosen before you were even aware of what choosing meant. The shaking you've endured was never punishment. It was preparation. Every disappointment, every sleepless night, every silent prayer, they were all building the capacity in you to recognize the sound of divine timing when it knocks. And now, it is knocking. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when heaven sends a clear confirmation that changes everything. That is what December 6th is about to be for you. It will not arrive as random coincidence. It will not hide behind confusion. The sign will be clear. It will confirm what your spirit already knows, that you were never meant to blend in. You were born to disrupt darkness, to carry light that intimidates shadows. Look back over the past months, every delay, every closed door, every person who walked away. You thought it was loss, but it was divine pruning. Heaven has been cutting away what could not carry you into your next assignment. You've been asking, why did they leave? Why didn't it work? The answer is simple. Not everyone can go where you are being sent. You are being positioned for clarity. As you stand in this moment, feel the shift. Feel how the atmosphere bends to divine timing. The angels that guard destiny are aligning the clock of heaven to your calendar. The realm of the unseen is preparing a visible sign. The very air around you hums with expectancy because the divine countdown has begun. But listen. Chosen one, clarity requires obedience. The signal from heaven often meets resistance from distraction. That's why you've been feeling pulled in 1,000 directions lately. The enemy knows that if he can scatter your focus, he can delay your recognition of confirmation. Do not let him. Gather your spirit back into alignment. Speak aloud, I am ready to hear clearly. The Spirit of God is calling you to stand tall again. Your hesitation has cost you peace, but this word restores it. You will not miss your sign this time. You will not sleep through your visitation. The confirmation that will arrive around December 6th will be undeniable, and it will bring direction for the next chapter of your destiny. As the ancient prophet once wrote in the scroll of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Those words are not history. They are prophecy breathing in real time through you. This is not merely encouragement, it is activation. The heavens are not requesting your permission, they are declaring your readiness. You have walked through the valley long enough. Now the mountain calls your name, chosen one. The days ahead will reveal what your spirit has already seen in glimpses. Expect the unexpected. Expect the whisper in the middle of your routine. Expect the sign in what looks ordinary but carries supernatural weight. December 6th is not just a date, it is an appointed window. Heaven has scheduled your confirmation, so take this seriously. Set your heart in order. Speak gratitude instead of complaint. Worship in the waiting. Light your spiritual lamp. You are not waiting for heaven to move. Heaven is waiting for you to align. The moment you decide that you are ready, the sequence begins. If you are hearing this, you are accountable to this message. Do not shrug it off. This is divine orchestration, not coincidence. The same God who aligned stars to announce the birth of Christ can align circumstances to announce your next assignment. Stay alert, stay pure, stay expectant. Now, if your spirit bears witness that this word is yours, respond with faith. Don't let the moment pass silently. Act prophetically. Comment 7:11-77 below as a sign of agreement that you are stepping into clarity, that you receive this word, that you are awake and aligned for what heaven is about to do. Like, share, and subscribe so that this message continues to reach other chosen ones awakening at the same time as you. Your engagement is not for vanity, it is for alignment. Every click becomes a declaration. I hear, I receive, I obey. This is your moment. Your confirmation is set. December 6th will not pass unnoticed. You will see the sign, and you will know beyond doubt that you were never forgotten. You are chosen, sealed, and sent. You have felt it in your bones. Haven't you, that quiet sense of being different even before anyone told you? You tried to blend in, to move with the rhythm of ordinary people. But something in you always broke the pattern. You were never meant to belong to crowds that drift without direction. You were chosen long before the world had the language to describe you. Every scar you carry, every betrayal that once felt unbearable, was never wasted. Heaven has used them as divine ink to write your story of purpose. You thought it was pain, but it was inscription. The seasons of misunderstanding, of feeling unseen and unheard, were sacred shaping seasons. God was etching identity into your soul when others only saw survival. You are not the result of random events. You were not born by accident or coincidence. You were sent. The breath that filled your lungs at birth was already marked with assignment. That's why the world's systems could never fully hold you. Your DNA carries a heavenly pattern. It's the reason ordinary dreams never satisfy you. You ache for more because your spirit remembers more. Somewhere deep inside, your heart still recalls the echo of divine conversation that happened before your first heartbeat. The Spirit of God chose you for such a time as this, not because you were the strongest, not because you were perfect, but because you said yes even when you were trembling. Heaven does not look for flawless vessels. It looks for surrendered ones. The cracks in your vessel only make the light shine brighter. The world may have labeled you broken, but heaven calls you marked. The rejection you faced wasn't a curse, it was divine redirection. Every person who walked away was unknowingly clearing the path for what was meant for you. When they left, clarity came. When they doubted you, conviction grew. When they mocked your obedience, they only confirmed your difference. Do you remember the moments when you questioned if your prayers were being heard? You spoke into silence and heard nothing back. But silence was never absence. It was preparation. The heavens were building your endurance. Your faith was being refined until you could stand unshaken. Because what is coming next requires a spirit that knows how to believe even when the evidence is missing. And now, that evidence is about to arrive. That's why this message finds you today, not to remind you of pain, but to reveal purpose behind it. December 6th is not approaching as a random date. It approaches as a divine hinge in your story. The pattern of your past will not repeat itself beyond that day. What once defined your weakness will become the platform for your testimony. Chosen one. You must understand being marked means being misunderstood. You carry an anointing that the ordinary mind cannot interpret. Some will misread your silence as pride, your boundaries as rebellion, your waiting as weakness. But you know what it truly is: obedience. Every time you resisted rushing ahead, Heaven was applauding. Every time you chose forgiveness over revenge, angels recorded it as strength. You have been walking through a refining fire, and though you didn't see it, heaven was watching closely. Not one tear was wasted. Not one night of questioning went unnoticed. There are scrolls in the spirit realm with your name on them, records of your endurance, proof of your faithfulness. And those scrolls are about to be unsealed in this coming prophetic season. Let your spirit absorb this truth. Your difference is divine. Your peculiarities, your unusual timing, your constant sense of not fitting in all of it is evidence of divine craftsmanship. The same hand that formed galaxies took time to weave your story thread by thread. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Those words are not ancient history. They are alive in you. Heaven's voice still echoes through that same declaration, reminding you that before there were opinions, failures, or fears, there was already calling. Before your mistakes, there was already mercy. Before your confusion, there was already clarity written in the archives of eternity. So stop apologizing for your difference. Stop shrinking your light to make others comfortable. Stop explaining why you cannot go where everyone else goes. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, to be a signpost of grace, a living example of divine preservation. Even your flaws have purpose. They keep you humble enough to remain dependent on the one who called you. They ensure that when success comes, you will give him glory instead of taking credit. That humility is your armor. It will guard you in the days ahead when the world starts noticing what heaven already saw. So, stand tall in your divine design. Lift your head from shame. Shake the dust of comparison. And remember this: you are heaven's intentional masterpiece, a chosen vessel carved for clarity. Every scar is a story. Every delay a divine detour, every loss a hidden seed of future harvest. December 6th is not just coming, it's aligning. The blueprint of your life is unfolding exactly as heaven planned it. You are stepping into the part of your story where everything begins to make sense. You stand now at a threshold. Chosen one, the invisible line between what has been and what will be. You feel it in your chest like thunder beneath the skin. Something inside you knows this is not just another ordinary season. This is the crossroads where hesitation must die and decision must live. The weight of destiny rests upon your next choice. There are moments in life when the heavens stop being silent and demand a response. You can no longer remain undecided. No longer linger between two directions. You have prayed for clarity, cried for confirmation, waited for assurance, and now the signal has arrived. The path ahead is open, but it requires your yes. You may think you're waiting for a sign, but sometimes the sign is waiting for you to move. The stillness around you is not emptiness, it is sacred pause before revelation. The next instruction from heaven won't come until you commit to obey the last one. This is that moment. Your obedience now unlocks what has been delayed. Your past hesitation has cost you time, but it hasn't cost you calling. Grace remains, but grace will not wait forever. There's an urgency in the spirit because heaven has already written your next chapter, and the ink of destiny dries quickly when doubt delays obedience. You've heard the whisper in your spirit. Don't do it, no matter the price. Those words were not fear, they were protection. Heaven was pulling you back from self-sabotage. You've been standing at this same threshold before, afraid to choose, afraid to step forward, afraid to leave behind what feels familiar. But you cannot carry the old into the new. The threshold demands separation. This is where your allegiance is tested not in public applause, but in private decisions. The real battlefield is not out there. It is inside your will. That's why spiritual warfare often feels like confusion. The enemy knows that if he can fog your clarity, he can delay your obedience, but no more. The fog is lifting. The call is clear. Listen to the ancient echo that reaches you from the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. Choose this day whom you will serve. That verse is not history, it is command. You cannot remain neutral in this moment. Every hesitation is a silent no to destiny. Every excuse is an altar built to fear. God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for surrender. He wants your yes unpolished, uncertain, trembling if it must be, but real. Your yes carries power. When you say yes, angels move. When you say yes, timelines realign. When you say yes, the noise of confusion begins to fade. You do not need to understand everything. Obedience comes first. Understanding follows. The path will light up as you walk it, not before. Look around at your life. There are doors that will never open until you make this decision. There are blessings with your name on them that cannot locate you until you stand where you were always meant to be. Heaven does not waste power on indecision. When you choose, the power flows. Do you feel the tension in your chest right now? That is the spirit of destiny confronting hesitation. Heaven is holding its breath, waiting for your answer. This moment right here, right now, is a spiritual crossroads. The next phase of your life depends on how you respond, so let your voice break the silence. Declare your choice in faith. Comment, I stand firm. Say it not as empty words, but as declaration. Type it and mean it. Those 3 words become a covenant between you and heaven. They are your signature on the invisible contract of obedience. When you say, I stand firm, you're saying, I will not waver. I will not return to what broke me. I will not trade my calling for comfort. You may feel small, but the act of choosing aligns you with divine strength. The moment you declare it, something shifts. The spiritual world records it. The unseen recognizes your decision and begins to move circumstances accordingly. You are stepping out of confusion into clarity, out of fear into faith. Do not be surprised if resistance rises after this moment. Confirmation is always followed by testing. But remember, resistance is not rejection, it is proof that you're close to breakthrough. When the storm hits, stand firm. When voices of doubt try to whisper, stand firm. When your emotions betray your courage, stand firm. The same God who called you will empower you to stand. Every chosen one has a threshold story, a defining moment when faith overtakes fear. This is yours. After this, there will be no going back to normal, no pretending you didn't hear the call. Heaven has spoken, and your response will echo through eternity. So take a deep breath. Feel the gravity of this hour. You are not making a small decision. You are aligning with destiny itself. The choice you make here becomes the foundation for the revelation that will manifest on December 6th. That day will not find you guessing, it will find you ready. The air around you feels charged now, doesn't it? You can sense that something larger than you is unfolding, and it's not chaos, it's choreography. Heaven's clock is ticking, and you are moving in rhythm with it sometimes without even realizing it. Every delay, every detour, every not yet you've endured has been a piece of divine timing. Nothing was wasted. Not even the waiting. You've often wondered, when will I finally see the promise? But what if the waiting was the proving ground? What if the pauses in your story were the exact spaces where your faith grew roots? Divine timing is not denial, it is preparation disguised as delay. There is a language written into time itself, and the more you align your spirit with heaven's rhythm, the more clearly you will read it. Heaven never rushes, because heaven is never late. The same voice that spoke galaxies into existence has been speaking through your circumstances, arranging everything for the appointed time. The enemy wants you to believe that nothing is happening, but in truth, everything is aligning. Every unanswered prayer is being positioned for perfect manifestation. The hands of heaven are never idle, they are precise. You see, God's timing often contradicts human logic. While we chase speed, He builds strength. While we crave results, He crafts resilience. While we look for proof, He trains our perception. The most dangerous thing you could do right now is confuse movement with progress. Sometimes God keeps you still so that you can see what motion would have made you miss. Heaven's clocks don't run on your anxiety, they run on purpose. There is a rhythm to revelation, a cadence to calling. If you can learn to read the divine schedule, you will never fear delay again. Because once you recognize the pattern, you begin to understand that what looks like waiting is really synchronization. The confirmation you are expecting on December 6th is part of that rhythm. It will not come early and it will not come late. It will come in the fullness of its appointed hour. It will arrive like a perfectly timed melody, a note that completes the symphony of everything you've been enduring. But timing is not only about when, it's also about you. Heaven's calendar adjusts when your heart aligns. The moment you release control, divine sequence accelerates. When you stop forcing outcomes, the outcomes that are meant for you begin to find you. That's why peace is a weapon. It proves you trust God's clock more than your own. Think of every person in Scripture who had to wait: Joseph in prison, David in obscurity, Esther in silence, Mary in wonder. Each of them had to surrender the urge to rush. Every delay was carrying their destiny closer, not pushing it away. The slow unfolding was proof that heaven was building something eternal. The ancient prophet Habakkuk understood this when he recorded heaven's words in chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will surely come. That verse is not passive encouragement, it's divine assurance. The phrase "it will surely come" means it is already moving toward you. The vision you've been carrying, the promise that seems silent, is not still, it's simply maturing. God is letting it grow strong enough to stand the test of fulfillment. So when you feel anxious, remind your spirit heaven is not behind schedule. When you start to compare your journey to others, remember that divine appointments cannot be stolen or delayed by anyone else's progress. The race you're running is tailor-made for your steps. You are learning how to read heaven's clocks. You are learning that divine timing rarely shouts, it whispers. It doesn't rush toward those who panic, it settles on those who trust. It finds the ones who have learned to wait in worship rather than worry. When you finally see the confirmation unfold, it will make sense why you couldn't rush it. You will realize that if it had come earlier, you wouldn't have recognized it. If it had come later, you might have given up. The timing itself will be the miracle, and in that moment, gratitude will overwhelm you. Every tear you cried in confusion will turn into testimony. You'll see that heaven was never ignoring you. It was orchestrating something that required perfect timing. So rest now, chosen one, not in complacency, but in trust. You are not behind. You are right on schedule. The gears of heaven turn slowly, but with flawless precision. Your job is not to control the clock, it's to stay aligned until it strikes your hour. In the coming days, as you count down toward December 6, do not measure time by minutes or hours. Measure it by faith, by surrender. by the peace that proves your spirit has synced with heaven's rhythm. When you do, you will discover that waiting was never about time. It was about transformation. And when the appointed hour arrives, you will not be surprised, you will be ready. There comes a point, chosen one, when heaven's timing demands earthly action. You've heard the call, felt the pull, and now the divine current carries you forward. But there is still one enemy to confront before the fullness of confirmation arrives: delay. It doesn't always appear as evil. Sometimes it disguises itself as comfort, distraction, or endless preparation. Delay tells you, not today, when heaven is whispering, now. You have been faithful in waiting, but the time for stillness is shifting to movement. The spirit of procrastination has built walls around many chosen ones, walls made not of stone, but of hesitation. Yet the moment you begin to act, even in small steps, those invisible barriers crumble. Think of your life like a garden. Seeds have been planted through your prayers, your tears, and your obedience. But a garden does not flourish by intention alone. It thrives when tended daily. Water must be poured, weeds must be pulled, sunlight must be invited in. So it is with your calling. Heaven has already provided the soil and the seed, but your hands must keep it alive. Every small act of obedience, every word you speak in faith, every moment you push past weariness. Those are the drops of water keeping your destiny alive. Delay whispers, wait until you're ready. But readiness comes through obedience, not before it. Every giant you fear will shrink once you step forward. Every locked door will respond when you move toward it. Heaven doesn't require perfection. It requires participation. There is an urgency in the air now because your December 6th confirmation will depend on what you do in these days. Heaven will never force your cooperation. It waits for your choice. So when you feel resistance, remember that action is worship. Moving forward, even when unsure, is an offering of faith. The apostle reminded the Corinthians of this truth when he wrote in his second letter, chapter 6, verse 2. Now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. This is not just a verse, it's a call to motion. Now is not a suggestion, it is a divine command. You are not waiting for favor. Favor is waiting for your movement. Every time you delay, you place tomorrow's miracles in storage. But when you act, you withdraw from the bank of heaven what has been reserved in your name. So take this moment as a gentle push. If this message is watering your spirit, if you can feel the truth stirring deep within, then act in alignment with it. Like a lamp that burns brighter when oil is added, the fire of this message grows when it is shared. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not simply supporting a voice, you are spreading light. You're joining a flow that carries this word to others still trapped in the fog of delay. And if your heart feels moved to sow into this word, to donate, not out of pressure but as a prophetic act of faith, then let your giving become your water offering. In Scripture, water always represented life. When you pour water into the soil of a word, you signal to heaven that you believe the seed will grow. Whether it's a small drop or a full cup, every act of generosity becomes a declaration that you trust the divine process. Imagine it, your giving becomes rain over another soul's desert. Your support becomes the spark that keeps this voice burning, reaching others who are where you once were waiting, doubting, searching for confirmation. This isn't about transaction, it's about transformation. What you help sustain in others, heaven multiplies in you. Every like becomes a light, every share becomes a seed. Every subscription becomes a declaration: I choose to stay connected to the flow of revelation. And every donation, no matter the size, becomes an altar of gratitude, your personal way of saying, I believe this word, and I choose to nurture it. Think of the river. When water flows, it stays fresh. When it stops, it stagnates. The same is true for faith. Flow keeps it alive. When you give, when you share, when you participate, you keep your own faith flowing. You stay connected to what heaven is doing now. Beloved chosen one, this is not manipulation, it's invitation. Heaven is moving and it's asking if you'll move with it. You've prayed for confirmation, for a sign, for clarity. This is one of those moments when obedience becomes the bridge between revelation and fulfillment. So break agreement with delay. Refuse the lie that says, maybe later. Later is not promised. Now is holy. Step into motion with open hands and a willing heart. Your movement today, whether through obedience, generosity, or sharing light, becomes the wave that carries you straight into the current of December 6th. Heaven has already released the wind. All that's left is for you to raise your sail. The air is shifting again. Chosen one, you can feel it deep within the quiet pressure, the pull of obedience rising in your chest. It's no longer enough to simply believe. Now heaven is asking you to seal what you believe through action. Obedience is the ink that signs your covenant with destiny. You've heard the word, you've received the promise, and now the heavens are watching to see if you will anchor it with your yes. This is not a moment for hesitation. The days of partial obedience are over. God is not asking for perfection, only for alignment. And alignment means moving when He speaks, even when your mind still wrestles with understanding. Obedience often makes no sense at first because it's a language written for faith, not logic. Think back to the moments when you delayed doing what you knew you were called to do. You told yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it when I'm ready. But heaven measures readiness differently. Readiness isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to trust despite fear. Every time you postpone obedience, mercy patiently waits. But mercy does not wait forever. You may not realize it, but there are spiritual consequences to hesitation. The opportunities heaven sends are living things. When ignored, they wither, but when embraced, they multiply. The difference between stagnation and acceleration is often one simple word: obedience. There's a divine seriousness in the atmosphere now. You are being called to seal your faith through action before December 6th. This isn't about superstition, it's about sealing a spiritual contract through demonstration. Heaven cannot confirm what earth refuses to act upon. Your confirmation will not come to the indecisive, it will come to the obedient. There are blessings reserved for those who respond immediately. Obedience unlocks divine speed. The moment you act, heaven begins to move on your behalf. There are angels assigned to motion, waiting for your yes to release them into your situation. But silence holds them back. Inaction delays what has already been prepared. Listen closely. Chosen one. Obedience is not loss, it is alignment. Every instruction from heaven is meant to protect, not restrict. Every boundary God sets is a gate guarding your destiny. When He says go, He's not testing your willingness to sacrifice, He's preparing your heart for increase. The ancient record in the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, declares to obey is better than sacrifice. Those words cut through every excuse. God is not impressed by what we promise, He is moved by what we perform. He is not persuaded by grand declarations, but by small steps taken in faith. True love always manifests through obedience. Maybe obedience for you right now means forgiving someone you swore you'd never forgive. Maybe it means letting go of something you've clung to for too long. Or maybe it means finally stepping into the assignment you've been avoiding because it feels too heavy. Whatever it is, this is your moment to seal it. Heaven is not just listening to your prayers, it is watching your posture. Every action of obedience echoes louder than any shouted prayer. The Spirit of God is whispering, "Seal this now." This is the moment when mercy still leans toward you, when grace is still stretching its arms wide. Do not let rebellion silence the sound of grace in your life. Sometimes the price of delay is not punishment, it's blindness. When we resist obedience long enough, the heart hardens, the ears grow dull, and the clarity once bright begins to fade. That is why the call feels urgent, not because God is impatient, but because clarity has an expiration date for those who ignore it. So, chosen one, let your obedience speak louder than your fear. Heaven has given you another chance to act, to align, to move. This is not coincidence, it is divine mercy extending itself one more time. And to seal this word, to mark your yes in the atmosphere, perform a prophetic act of agreement. Comment 444 below. Do it as a declaration that your obedience is no longer delayed. 444 symbolizes divine order, heaven's alignment manifesting on earth. As you type it, you're not just writing numbers. You're building a bridge between faith and fulfillment. You're saying, I align my steps with heaven's rhythm. I choose obedience over delay. I choose clarity over comfort. Let that number be your spiritual signature, your seal of obedience. The heavens are recording this moment, noting who responded in faith. It is not about performance, it is about posture. Heaven responds not to noise, but to obedience. When you act in faith, the chains of delay begin to break. The doors that resisted you begin to open. And in the days ahead, especially as December 6th draws near, you will see why God asked you to seal this moment. The confirmation you've been waiting for will meet you in motion, not in hesitation. You are chosen. You are called. And now, through obedience, you are being sealed. There is a strange silence that comes before revelation. You have likely felt it lately, that eerie calm after warfare, when the noise fades but peace hasn't yet arrived. It is a dangerous silence, one that tests discernment, because in that quiet, not every voice that whispers is divine. This is where many chosen ones stumble, not because they stopped believing, but because they started listening to the wrong sound. You, chosen one, are now being trained to discern the difference between what sounds spiritual and what is from the Spirit. Not every light comes from heaven. Some are reflections cast by the enemy to mimic divine illumination. This is the hour where you must test every revelation, every dream, every open door. Not all opportunity is obedience, and not every sign is confirmation. The closer you move toward your calling, the louder the counterfeits become. The enemy rarely attacks through obvious darkness. He imitates the light. He knows you have matured past temptation, so now he sends imitation. He packages deception in familiarity, words that sound right, people who seem right, paths that look promising but lead to confusion. You must learn to test the spirit, not just the situation. Every open door is not a blessing. Some are traps disguised as transitions. The enemy is skilled at creating shortcuts that bypass surrender. He will offer you an easier path to what God promised, a faster route that avoids pain. But the route that avoids the cross never leads to resurrection. You've likely already seen this pattern. You began sensing breakthrough. Then distractions appeared, people returning from your past, opportunities that flattered your ambition, voices whispering you don't need to wait any longer. That's not coincidence. It's strategy. Counterfeits always appear before confirmation. They show up to see whether you will settle for imitation instead of fulfillment. The Spirit of God is teaching you to slow down in discernment. You cannot afford to rush decisions right now. The counterfeit thrives in haste. The true will always wait. The false always pressures. If a door demands you to abandon peace to walk through it, it is not from God. Peace is heaven's signature. Confusion is hell's handwriting. Discernment requires silence and scripture. Heaven's voice carries weight, gentle yet firm, comforting yet convicting. The counterfeit flatters, the divine transforms. One stirs your ego, the other awakens your spirit. One says you deserve this, while the other says you are being prepared for more. Learn to recognize the difference, and you will never be deceived. You must also remember that discernment is sharpened through obedience. The more you obey what you already know, the clearer your hearing becomes. Disobedience fogs perception. Sin is not always rebellion, it's sometimes distraction. The heart that is too cluttered cannot hear the whisper of heaven. That is why this season calls you to quietness, to simplicity, to solitude with purpose. The warning is clear: do not chase what glitters. Counterfeits can give you what you want faster, but only truth gives you what you need forever. God is not delaying you. He's protecting you from premature exposure. What's waiting for you after December 6th requires maturity, not momentum. If He were to release it now, before discernment is complete, the very blessing meant to elevate you would crush you. So embrace this sacred silence. Let it cleanse your hearing. Let it expose every false echo that once sounded divine. Ask yourself, does this voice bring peace or pressure? Does it draw me closer to humility or feed my pride? Does it strengthen my faith or inflate my feelings? Heaven's voice always draws you closer to truth, even when truth wounds before it heals. In the holy writings of the Apostle John, first letter, chapter 4, verse 1. It is written, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God." Those words are your compass in this season. They teach you to pause before you agree, to pray before you act, to measure every word by its fruit. The enemy can mimic power, but he cannot reproduce peace. He can counterfeit language, but he cannot imitate holiness. Chosen one, this season is not about gaining more. It's about filtering what already surrounds you. Your clarity will not come from hearing more voices, it will come from silencing the wrong ones. Heaven is not asking you to run faster. It is asking you to listen better. So step carefully now. Watch the patterns. Pay attention to repetition. When the same distraction keeps appearing in new forms, it's a sign of an old spirit trying again. Do not fight it with emotion. Resist it with discernment. Speak truth. Stay grounded, and let peace be your confirmation. If you can endure this silence without rushing to fill it, the true voice will emerge unmistakably. And when it does, you'll realize why counterfeits had to come first. They revealed what you still needed to purify before promotion. The silence before revelation is not punishment. It is training for discernment. Wait within it. Listen wisely, because the next voice you recognize will determine the next door that opens. There is a stirring in the unseen, chosen one. While you walk through ordinary days, heaven is weaving threads that connect your obedience to its eternal design. You are not just a believer, you are a participant in divine orchestration. The unseen realm has been moving around you, quietly, deliberately, positioning both people and opportunities to meet you at the appointed hour. But this season is not just about receiving, it's about recognizing. You have been walking under divine surveillance, angels moving at the edges of your awareness, protecting you from unseen collisions, whispering strength into your exhaustion. The presence you sometimes feel when no one is there. The warmth that rises in your spirit when despair tries to enter, that's not imagination. That's reinforcement. You have unseen allies, assigned by heaven to assist the chosen. Every chosen one carries an unseen army. Some walk unaware of it and live exhausted. Others learn to cooperate with heaven and live empowered. You are being invited into that second category to live with awareness that you are never alone, not even in the valley. There are assignments moving with you. These angelic assignments are not fairy tales or metaphors. They are heaven's workforce. When you pray, they move. When you speak the word in faith, they execute it. When you align your actions with obedience, they strengthen your steps. Heaven never sends you unguarded into destiny. Every mission comes with protection. Every promise comes with assistance. But here's the truth few understand: angels respond to authority, not anxiety. They move in response to the word, not worry. When you speak fear, they wait. When you speak faith, they act. That is why your declarations matter more than your emotions. Heaven listens for faith before it releases force. There have been battles you never saw because they fought for you. There were accidents that didn't happen, attacks that missed, emotional breakdowns that reversed because the unseen ones held their position. They do not need your attention, they need your agreement. Every time you trust, you strengthen their assignment. This is also why purity matters. Darkness attracts confusion, but light draws assistance. Your consistency in prayer, your daily surrender, your quiet forgiveness, all of these sustain the atmosphere in which angelic activity thrives. The purer the vessel, the faster the response. Heaven is not distant, it's responsive. There are moments when you will feel led to pray suddenly, without reason. Do not ignore those nudges. That's often heaven asking for your permission to intervene. Prayer is partnership. It's not you trying to convince God to move, it's God inviting you to speak so He can legally act on your behalf. You are a gate between the seen and unseen realms, and prayer keeps that gate open. You might think, I don't feel powerful enough to command angel. But understand, your authority does not come from volume. It comes from identity. You are not giving orders to servants. You are releasing instructions as a co-heir of Christ. When you speak the word, you echo heaven's decree, and heaven always recognizes its own voice through you. In the sacred writings of Hebrews chapter 1, verse 14, it is revealed, are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? That verse is not poetic, it is legal. It establishes that your life carries divine coverage. You are not merely surviving, you are being escorted. Every chosen one has moments of isolation, but isolation does not equal abandonment. The unseen army still moves even when you cannot feel them. When you cry, they gather the fragments of your strength. When you pray, they stretch your influence beyond physical reach. When you fall, they help lift you again. You've been carried more than you realize. There are memories you survived that logic cannot explain. That was not luck, it was intervention. Do not fear it, embrace it. Sensitivity is a sign of growth, not danger. Heaven is training you to cooperate with what is happening around you. This sensitivity will allow you to discern which directions to move, which words to release, and which doors to close. The confirmation coming in this prophetic season will not just be external, it will also be internal, witnessed by peace. So walk with awareness. Speak with intention. Pray as one who knows unseen ears are listening. When you declare truth, You activate help. When you choose holiness, you strengthen the shield around your javuts. When you rest in faith, you create space for heaven to work without interference. You are not walking through this world unguarded. Every step you take echoes in eternity, and heaven responds to the sound. Remember this: the same God who commands galaxies commands your angels too. You have been watched by heaven, guided by unseen hands, and protected by divine command. But now, chosen one, heaven asks you a question that pierces through comfort and demands response. It's not whispered, it thunders in the spirit. Will you answer the king's question? This moment is not symbolic, it is sacred. It marks the transition between waiting and walking, between listening and living. You have heard words of destiny. You have been reminded of timing, and you have been strengthened in obedience, but now comes the question that defines the rest of your journey. Will you go where he sends you? The king is not asking if you are gifted. He already knows that. He's asking if you are willing. Many want the crown but flee from the weight that holds it in place. Many want visibility but fear responsibility. Heaven cannot release new authority to those who still negotiate obedience. You see, calling is not about convenience, it's about covenant. When God calls a person, he's not looking for applause, he's looking for availability. The greatest yes in history came from trembling lips, whispered through uncertainty. Let it be unto me according to your word. That's the power of surrender. It shifts heaven's plan from potential to reality. The question heaven asks you now is personal. You can feel it pressing against your ribs. The whisper you've been hearing for days, that strange stirring in your chest, it's not anxiety, it's invitation. The Spirit is asking, will you go? Even if it costs you everything familiar, will you follow? Even when the map disappears, to answer means to trust without condition. It means leaving behind the old identities that made you comfortable and stepping into the new assignment that will stretch your capacity. It means letting go of what is safe so you can hold what is sacred. The voice of the prophet Isaiah once recorded the same heavenly encounter that you now sense. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. Whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. Those words are echoing through the corridors of eternity again. They hover in the air around you now. Heaven is not just reading ancient history, it is repeating it through you. The same call that reached Isaiah reaches you. Will you go? There is something sacred about saying yes while still trembling. Heaven honors trembling obedience more than confident delay. The moment you say yes, heaven rushes to reinforce you. The assignment you fear becomes the altar of your transformation. And as you walk forward, you discover that the one who called you already walked the path before you. But you must answer. Silence is not safety, silence is surrender to stagnation. The world is aching for voices that still carry heaven's fire. Creation groans, not for famous names, but for obedient hearts. You are one of them. That's why your warfare has been so intense. Darkness recognizes the danger of your yes. The king's question is not about ability, it's about availability. Will you stand when others retreat? Will you speak when silence feels safer? Will you carry the message even if no one applauds? This is the weight of the chosen to live, not for applause, but for assignment. And so, beloved chosen one, heaven waits for your answer. Let it not be a whisper buried in hesitation, but a declaration that shakes the spiritual atmosphere around you. Speak it aloud. Type it into existence. Mark your decision in the timeline of eternity. Comment, I will go. These 3 words are not just syllables, they are a covenant. When you type them, you declare alignment with your calling. You open the door for heaven's power to flow freely through your life. You're saying, I release the fear of what's next. I choose faith over familiarity. I accept the weight of being sent. Heaven does not ignore such declarations. When you say, I will go, angels take note. Assignments are released. Resources realign. The road ahead begins to open. And though it may not be easy, it will be anointed. Do not underestimate the power of public agreement. When you declare it, you make your inner decision visible to the spiritual realm. You testify to heaven and defy hell at the same time. You're telling both realms that your loyalty has been sealed. You are not answering as a victim of life, but as a vessel of purpose. You are not running from darkness, you are walking with light. The world will not always understand your yes, but heaven will celebrate it. You may feel alone when you start, but you will find that obedience never walks unaccompanied. The king's question still lingers in the air. Who will go? And you, chosen one. With courage rising inside your chest, answer, I will go. Chosen one, as you whisper your yes into the atmosphere, something shifts around you. The gates of your destiny creak open, and you can almost hear the sound of hinges long unused moving again. You are entering a phase that demands fortification, strength of spirit, discipline of thought, and structure of prayer. This is where your readiness is tested not by desire, but by consistency. You cannot step into prophetic seasons with unguarded gates. The gates of your mind, your heart, your home, they must be fortified. Every chosen one who carries light becomes a target of distraction, not destruction. The darkness no longer tries to defeat you, it tries to dilute you. It wants to thin your focus until your passion becomes polite. Your fire becomes manageable. Your purpose becomes quiet. But heaven did not call you to be polite. It called you to be powerful. Imagine a fortress on a high mountain. Inside, there is light and warmth, but around it are winds and shadows trying to slip through the cracks. That fortress is you, and the walls are built through prayer, through fasting, through worship, through wise boundaries. Every time you choose to guard your peace instead of arguing with confusion, you build a wall. Every time you choose to turn away from gossip and return to grace, you add another layer of protection. The word of the Apostle Paul to the Ephesians still stands strong in chapter 6, verse 11. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Armor is not decorative, it is necessary. It's what allows you to walk through storms without losing your identity. Without armor, praise becomes personality and prayer becomes performance. But with armor, you become unshakable, able to face attack without losing peace, able to stand still while the world trembles. And yet, even armor needs maintenance. Warriors sharpen their swords daily, not just when battle begins. That's what this season calls for: daily preparation, not occasional bursts of faith, but steady, unwavering rhythm. Your discipline will determine your durability. The moment you build consistency, heaven entrusts you with greater weight. Chosen one. This is also the moment to build your community of faith. Isolation breeds weakness. Connection strengthens the soul. You are never meant to stand alone. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not performing for an algorithm, you are building a spiritual fortress around truth. Every action becomes a brick, every interaction a torch. Together, the chosen become a city of light set upon a hill, visible even to those who have lost their way. And if your spirit feels stirred to go beyond words, to donate or sow into this message, do so not as transaction, but as transformation. Your seed becomes a shield for someone else. Every offering is like oil poured on the lamps that keep this fire burning. Without oil, even holy flames fade. But with oil, they blaze through darkness and reach hearts in hidden valley. Think of it this way when you support a lighthouse. You're not buying light, you're fueling rescue. Somewhere, someone lost at sea will find direction because you chose to keep the flame alive. When you give, when you share, when you subscribe, you're keeping that light burning, allowing the message of destiny and hope to reach others who've forgotten their worth. Heaven measures generosity not by amount, but by alignment. When you give from revelation, not pressure, you activate spiritual reciprocity. The same river that flows through this message flows back to refresh you. Every gift you release returns multiplied, not just in material form, but in clarity, peace, and favor. So do what your heart feels led to do. Keep the fire alive. Share this message like a torch being passed from hand to hand. Subscribe to stay within the circle of light so that when the next word of direction comes, you'll be among the first to receive it. Let your giving, your sharing, your engagement be an act of worship, an offering of gratitude for what this word has already awakened in you. This moment is not about supporting a voice, it's about sustaining a move. The Spirit of God is gathering a generation of torchbearers, people who refuse to let truth fade beneath noise. You are one of them, and each action you take, every way you choose to reinforce this light, builds a covering not just for you, but for others destined to awaken next. Fortify your gates. Chosen one, guard your peace, nurture your fire, and keep the flow of light moving forward. Because when you strengthen the wall, you protect the flame, and that flame is what will guide multitudes out of darkness. There is a fragrance to favor, chosen one. You can sense it when it draws near, subtle yet unmistakable, like rain carried on the wind before the clouds appear. You are entering that atmosphere now. It is not luck, not coincidence, but alignment. The doors that once resisted you are beginning to feel the pressure of heaven's hand behind them. This is the quiet moment before they swing open, and heaven calls it uncommon favor. But favor is not a random gift, it is a sacred trust. Many pray for favor, but few are ready to steward it. Favor does not come to make you comfortable. It comes to make you accountable. It carries responsibility. When heaven lifts you into visibility, it's not for applause, it's for assignment. The blessing you are about to receive is not for personal elevation alone. It is for divine demonstration. When favor rests on your life, you will notice shifts. People will appear who once ignored you. Opportunities will arrive without explanation. Yet each blessing will also carry a question from heaven. What will you do with it? Favor multiplies in the hands of the faithful, but spoils in the hands of the careless. You are being called to learn the protocols of favor, how to walk in it without being consumed by it. The first protocol is humility. Humility anchors favor so that it doesn't drift into pride. You cannot hold glory safely unless your heart bows low. Heaven elevates those who remember that the platform is not a throne, but a pulpit. Every open door is an altar, and the way you step through it determines whether the fragrance of heaven remains or fades. The second protocol is stewardship. Whatever heaven entrusts to you must be managed, not merely enjoyed. Every resource, every opportunity, every connection, it's all seed, not ownership. You are a caretaker of divine property. When you handle it with reverence, God expands your territory. No, when you mishandle it, He restricts your reach. The oil of favor only flows where honor is maintained. The third protocol is generosity. Favor that is hoarded becomes heavy. Favor that is shared becomes multiplied. Every blessing carries a built-in exit strategy. It wants to move. That is why those who give remain in overflow. They have become trusted channels. When you withhold what heaven gave you to release, you clog your own flow. The fourth protocol is purity. Favor increases exposure, and exposure reveals motive. When more eyes are on you, more shadows try to attach themselves. That is why holiness matters. It's not about rules, it's about protection. Purity preserves power. It ensures that what began in the spirit will not be corrupted by the flesh. And the fifth protocol is gratitude. The humble heart that remembers mercy will never run dry of miracles. Gratitude keeps you conscious of the source. It protects you from entitlement and keeps your favor fragrant. When you live thankful, heaven keeps trusting you with more. The writings of the Apostle James remind us of this eternal balance. It is recorded in his letter, chapter 4, verse 6. God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. That single truth holds the key to sustaining what is about to unfold. Pride repels favor because it seeks to own what should be offered. Humility attracts favor because it remembers the giver even while handling the gift. You have already walked through preparation, purification, and pruning. What comes next is not random reward, it's divine recognition. Heaven is about to highlight you not because you demanded attention, but because you stayed faithful in obscurity. Those who mocked your waiting will soon witness your unveiling. But even then, keep your heart low. The stage is not the goal. The glory is. Favor is not meant to inflate you, it's meant to extend God's reach through you. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every moment of compassion will now carry unusual weight. When you walk into rooms, the atmosphere will shift. When you speak, hearts will open. It's not charisma, it's confirmation. Heaven is validating the vessel it prepared. Still, be careful. Not everyone will celebrate your favor. Some will misunderstand it, others will envy it. But remember, favor was never meant to make you popular, it was meant to make you purposeful. You were not chosen to impress, you were chosen to influence. So move gently, walk wisely, and hold the oil with clean hands. When favor comes, let it find you faithful. When recognition arrives, let humility guard your response. When doors open, walk through them quietly with reverence and gratitude. Uncommon favor is not loud, it is luminous. It doesn't need to announce itself, it simply manifests. And those with spiritual sight recognize it. You are entering that glow now. Walk humbly within it, and the fragrance of heaven will never fade from your life. Chosen one, we are nearing the edge of a holy unveiling. The countdown toward December 6th moves silently, yet powerfully, and the spiritual tension around you proves that something unseen is already shifting. You can feel it like the air before lightning strikes, heavy yet expectant. The confirmation you've been promised is not a distant hope, it is an approaching reality. But before it appears in the visible, heaven asks you to believe without evidence, to agree before proof. The kingdom works differently from the world. Earth demands to see before believing. Heaven requires believing before seeing. That's why you've been tested in silence. God has been stretching your faith until it can carry the weight of what's coming. And now, as the moment draws near, He's teaching you the art of prophetic expectancy, of preparing your heart for what you cannot yet hold. Your faith right now is the seed that will unlock December 6th. You're not waiting for a sign to start believing. You're believing to summon the sign. Faith doesn't just react to miracles, it creates them. Heaven's power often hides behind small acts of trust. Each time you say, "I still believe," you send a signal through the spiritual atmosphere that summons what belongs to you. You must learn to live like someone expecting delivery, When you order something valuable, you begin preparing the space for it. You clear the table. You make room in the house. You start checking the door even before the knock comes. That's what faith does. It prepares before proof. Heaven is drawn to those who prepare without evidence. This is what the coming confirmation will look like. It may not be dramatic, it may be a whisper, a small moment that only your spirit recognizes. But it will be clear. You will know it's divine because peace will settle over you like a blanket, and everything that once confused you will suddenly make sense. The divine confirmation will not compete for your attention. It will quiet everything else. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 7, the prophet declared a timeless truth. This will be the sign to you that the Lord has chosen you. That verse wasn't written for ancient readers alone, it was written for you. This will be the sign. Not might be, not could be, will be. Heaven doesn't speak in speculation. When God sends confirmation, it doesn't arrive in riddles, it arrives in resonance. Your spirit will recognize it instantly. The same voice that called you will confirm you, and yet, the wise know that signs don't create faith, they confirm it. You already believe. The coming moment is heaven's way of rewarding that hidden persistence. You stayed when others left. You believed when others mocked. You held on when logic screamed to let go. That kind of endurance doesn't go unnoticed. It qualifies you for clarity. So what should you do as you approach that appointed day? Keep your posture of expectation. Live like a soul standing under open heaven. Wake each morning saying, "Maybe today is the day I see it." Speak to the air as if it already knows your name. Rehearse your gratitude before the promise manifests. Gratitude is a magnet, it pulls manifestation into your orbit. And when that confirmation arrives, receive it with reverence. Don't rush to explain it. Treasure it in silence for a moment. Let it sink into your spirit before you share it with the world. Holy things deserve holy handling. Some revelations are meant to be held before they are told. Chosen one. This message comes to remind you that the timeline of heaven is exact. Not a second too soon. Not a heartbeat too late. December 6th will not surprise heaven. It was written into the fabric of your life before you ever asked for proof. And while you count days on your calendar, angels are counting assignments in heaven's timeline. Everything is converging. The closer the moment gets, the louder doubt will whisper. That's how the enemy reacts when heaven's promise is near. He doesn't fight your past, he fears your next. When confusion arises, respond with worship. When fear surfaces, answer with faith. The voice of darkness loses power in the presence of praise. Your obedience, your endurance, your quiet faith, they have built a spiritual altar, and now heaven is about to respond with fire. But as a prophetic act of agreement, mark this moment. Comment 22222 below. This number is more than digits, it represents divine confirmation, a double witness in the spirit. By writing it, you are declaring, "I am ready to recognize my sign. I agree with heaven's timing. I received the confirmation that was promised to me." When you type it, do it slowly and intentionally. Let every two remind you of covenant heaven partnering with earth, divine promise joining with human faith. Each repetition is a declaration that you believe in the double portion of clarity and direction. Your 2222 becomes a sound in the spirit. It tells heaven, "I am awake, aligned, and alert." It tells darkness, "You can no longer deceive me." It tells your future, "I am ready for manifestation." And soon, when that day arrives, you'll remember this moment, the words you read, the number you declared, the fire you felt rising in your heart. You will say, It happened exactly as he said it would, because the sign is coming. The confirmation is on its way, and when it appears, your spirit will whisper what heaven already knows. This is my time. This is my sign. I am chosen. The light is changing. Chosen one. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit senses the shift. The air around you feels charged. The silence feels full. You are crossing into something weighty, no longer waiting for confirmation, but preparing for activation. What once felt like waiting in darkness is now the moment before dawn. You have endured the long night, the stillness, the uncertainty. Every tear, every unanswered prayer, every lonely moment, they have all been seeds in the soil of your purpose. And now, as heaven's calendar turns toward fulfillment, you begin to understand what it all meant. The breaking you experienced was never random. It was the cracking open of the vessel that could carry greater light. There is a rhythm to divine transition. Before every revelation, there comes a refining. Before every elevation, there comes exposure not to shame, but to strengthen. The furnace of affliction was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal the material you're made of. Gold does not fear the fire because fire cannot harm what is pure. It only burns away the excess. The pain that almost crushed you was actually proof of your worth. Heaven only refines what it intends to display. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. Every time you thought you were breaking apart, heaven was reshaping you into something that could contain greater glory. There is a sacred pattern in how God deals with his chosen. He isolates before he elevates. He removes before he reveals. He blinds before he blesses. Every step that felt like loss was actually leading you toward clarity. The isolation you experienced wasn't abandonment, it was consecration. You were being hidden, not forgotten. Hidden things grow deeper roots. You are now stepping into the phase where your purpose stops being theory and becomes testimony. Everything that once hurt you will soon serve you. The lessons you learned in the shadows will become the wisdom that lights others' paths. And you will realize that the crushing was not a curse. It was the pressing that produced the oil. That oil, your anointing, is the proof of endurance. It's the invisible fragrance that announces you've been in the fire and survived it. It's what makes your words carry weight. Your presence carry peace, and your obedience carry authority. You don't need to advertise it, heaven already has. The oil speaks for itself, but remember this, the oil must be guarded. What you've carried through pain can be lost through carelessness. The enemy cannot steal your calling, but he can drain your strength through distraction. Guard your purity, your time, your focus. The world will try to pull you into noise just when heaven is asking you to listen. Don't let applause replace intimacy. Don't let activity replace anointing. In the ancient writings of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, it is declared, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" That question, do you not perceive it, is not a rebuke. It's an invitation. Heaven is asking if you can recognize the new thing before it fully appears. The danger of transition is that it feels like nothing is happening when, in fact, everything is happening beneath the surface. The new thing often begins as discomfort, as holy discontent that pushes you to change. So don't misread the shaking around you. It is not the sign of ending. It is the sound of construction. Heaven is laying new foundations under your feet. You may not understand it yet, but you will soon look back and see that every unfamiliar step was ordered with precision. And when you cross the invisible line between preparation and manifestation, you will notice it first not through sight, but through peace. But the confusion that once surrounded you will lose its grip. The anxiety that haunted you will grow silent. You will feel lighter, clearer, surer, not because everything outside changed, but because everything inside aligned. This is what it means to cross into your prophetic season. You are not stepping into random success. You are stepping into divine sequence. What was once delayed is now catching up. What was once scattered is now gathering. The same God who spoke the promise is now breathing it into reality. And you, chosen one, are the vessel he prepared to carry it. The pain you endured has given you credibility in the spirit. The scars you carry have become signatures of survival. The patience you practiced has matured into discernment. You no longer chase blessings, you attract them by being aligned. The new thing will not arrive with fanfare, it will slip in quietly, like morning light entering through open curtains. One day soon, you'll wake up and realize that you've crossed over. You won't be able to pinpoint the exact moment it happened. You'll simply know that the waiting is over. Heaven's promise does not shout, it settles. And it is settling over you even now. The crossing has begun. Chosen one. The invisible has started to manifest. And even though the world around you might look unchanged, the atmosphere tells a different story. You've moved from prophecy to reality, from promise to performance. Heaven has shifted its posture from speaking about you to working through you. You are no longer just waiting for the move of God, you are becoming the move of God. Something deep within you senses it. The way you pray feels different. The way you see the world has changed. You no longer ask small questions like, "Why me?" but instead whisper, "What now?" You are learning that calling is not a title, it is a responsibility. And as you stand on this sacred side of fulfillment, the weight of purpose settles gently but firmly on your shoulders. The days ahead will require a new rhythm. The pace of waiting and the pace of walking are not the same. Waiting requires faith. Walking requires wisdom. You are entering a season where decisions carry eternal weight, where each step must be measured, intentional, and covered in prayer. Heaven has already gone before you, but now it invites you to partner in movement. This new phase is not without pressure. In fact, the closer you move to divine purpose, the more intense the resistance becomes. Every new level attracts a new kind of warfare, not to destroy you, but to refine your strategy. You are not the same person who once trembled under attack. You've grown into someone who understands that warfare is not proof of failure, but evidence of progress. The enemy does not chase the stagnant, he chases the advancing. That's why new challenges will appear. But this time, you will face them with authority rather than anxiety. You have been trained for this. You've learned to discern between noise and assignment, between distraction and direction. You now recognize that not every battle deserves your sword, some only require your silence. You must protect your peace as fiercely as a warrior guards his weapon. Peace is not passive, it's power restrained. It's the weapon that confuses darkness because it proves that you no longer respond to fear. When storms rage and you remain calm, hell loses its grip. The calm spirit is the loudest voice in spiritual warfare. In these coming days, you will also begin to witness what you once only imagined. Prayers you whispered in hidden places will begin to surface in visible form. Relationships that were strained will begin to mend. Opportunities you thought were lost will reappear, restored by divine orchestration. But with every open door comes discernment. Not every path illuminated by light leads to destiny. Some are distractions disguised as destiny. So remain vigilant. The same obedience that carried you here must continue to lead you forward. Never mistake arrival for completion. The prophetic season you're entering is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of impact. Heaven has brought you here not to rest, but to reign not in arrogance, but in authority. There will be moments when you'll feel the weight of what you carry. Leadership in the Spirit can feel lonely. The same people who celebrated your elevation might not understand your new boundaries. Some will question your silence, others will misinterpret your distance. Do not explain what heaven has sanctified. The hidden work of God in you does not need public validation. When the burden feels heavy, remember that grace adjusts itself to the weight you carry. You are never asked to lift what heaven hasn't strengthened you to bear. The divine load always comes with divine leverage. Every challenge you face in this season will awaken new capacity within you. The voice of the psalmist David echoes across the ages in the holy writings of Psalm 23. Verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That verse does not promise an escape from valleys, it promises presence in them. And that's what sustains you now. You are not walking alone through this new terrain. The same God who carried you through the silence walks beside you in the spotlight. The valley is not your destination, it's your training ground. It teaches you to walk steadily, to keep your gaze fixed on the shepherd, not the shadows. Every time you take another step forward, darkness loses territory. The light within you pushes back what once intimidated you. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to embody the very thing you prayed for years ago. You become strength for the weary, clarity for the confused, hope for the hopeless. You become living proof that surrender leads to power, that obedience births authority, that chosen ones may bend, but they never break. So keep walking, keep watching, keep listening. You are crossing into full manifestation, and heaven is still guiding your every step. The shadows no longer scare you because you've learned they are proof of light. Chosen one, the oil on your life has matured. You are standing in the full light of what heaven promised, but light brings new responsibility. The world is watching, searching for the glimmer of truth you carry. You have become a living message, a walking scroll written not with ink, but with fire. Every choice, every word, every silence now carries the fragrance of divine influence. You are not just a believer, you are a representation of heaven's heart on earth. This is why the Spirit whispers now, fortify your witness. Let your life become a steady flame, not a flicker. People do not follow noise, they follow light that does not go out when the wind blows. The consistency of your faith will preach louder than any sermon. To stay steady, you must remember the rhythm of spiritual upkeep. A lamp burns only when oil is replenished. The fire that drew others to your light must be cared for daily through prayer, gratitude, and generosity. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Heaven rewards those who return to the altar not once, but continually. The Apostle Paul's words in the second letter to Timothy still ring true. Chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. That line describes where you are headed toward completion, not exhaustion. You were never called to burn out. You were called to burn bright. Yet even bright fires need tending. They need oxygen, the breath of God, through worship. They need fuel, the nourishment of truth. And yes, they need community, the winds of shared purpose that keep the flame alive. That's where you come in, beloved one. This space, this voice, this flow of messages, it's not a platform, it's a fireplace. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not merely clicking a button, you're adding wood to the fire. Each act of engagement becomes another log. keeping the warmth of revelation burning for those still wandering in the cold. And if your heart feels stirred to go beyond, if something inside whispers to donate, to sow into the soil that has fed your faith, then do it not from duty but from delight. Generosity is not payment, it's partnership. It's the way you say, I believe this light should reach further. Every contribution is like pouring oil into a lamp that keeps shining in midnight places. Imagine this message as a great ship sailing across vast waters, carrying words of restoration to unseen shores. The likes are sails catching the wind. The shares are waves propelling it forward. The subscriptions are anchors that keep it from drifting. And your donation, that's the wind itself, the invisible force that keeps the vessel moving long after the crowd goes silent. Many hear these words but never think they matter. Yet every small action creates ripples. When you share a word, it lands in someone's feed just as they were praying for a sign. When you give, it sustains the light that may guide a broken heart back home. This is how heaven multiplies impact through tiny, faithful acts of those who dare to care. Let this not be seen as persuasion, but as partnership. Just as the early disciples pooled their bread and fish to feed the multitudes, you, too, help multiply grace when you engage with what nourishes your soul. Heaven measures hearts, not amounts. Whether you give a coin or carry a torch, the same principle applies. What you sustain for others, God sustains for you. And when you leave a comment, it's more than words, it's a testimony. It tells heaven, I am part of this movement. It tells others, you're not alone. It tells darkness, we're still shining. Go ahead and let your comment be your echo in eternity, your personal way of saying, I receive, I agree, I carry this light forward. Because the truth is, this light unshared eventually fades. But when you pass the flame, the world grows brighter. The chosen are not meant to hoard revelation, they are meant to release it. So, let your engagement be your release. Let your generosity be your echo. Let your faith be visible, not to boast, but to bless. You are part of a divine network, a constellation of awakened souls. Each of you holds a spark. Together you form a constellation that guides others through darkness. That is what this community truly is, a map written in light. Chosen one. Keep your flame alive, feed it with prayer, protect it with purity, and share it with purpose. Heaven has trusted you with truth, now help that truth travel. Every act of support, every like, share, subscription, comment, or donation is another torch lifted high. And as long as we keep lifting them, the night can never win. The air feels different now, doesn't it? Chosen one. It carries the quiet hum of completion, not an ending, but a fulfillment. The storm that once roared around you has calmed into still waters. You stand taller now, your spirit stronger, your faith more anchored. What once frightened you now feels familiar. What once confused you now makes sense. You are beginning to understand that the journey was never about reaching a destination, but about becoming the kind of vessel that could carry divine weight. This is the stage where favor meets responsibility. The glory you carry is not ornamental, it's functional. It's not meant to rest on you like decoration, it's meant to flow through you like living water. You are not a reservoir, you are a river. What God places in you is always meant to move through you. The more freely it flows, the purer it remains. You are now learning the sacred rhythm of stewardship. Every chosen one must balance glory and humility, visibility and secrecy, passion and patience. Too much zeal without wisdom burns out the vessel. Too much caution without faith delays destiny. Maturity is learning to walk that narrow line between boldness and stillness. speaking when heaven says speak and staying silent when the moment calls for mystery. The anointing you carry has changed its tone. In the beginning, it came to rescue you. Now, it comes to reach others. You no longer pray only for survival, you intercede for nations, for strangers, for souls still in darkness. That shift is proof that heaven's purpose has fully taken root in you. When your prayers stop circling around yourself and start flowing toward others, it means you've grown into true spiritual authority. And yet, authority is not dominance. True authority is influence without manipulation, strength without arrogance. It is the quiet certainty of one who knows where they stand. You do not need to shout when truth lives inside you. The world will recognize divine authority not by your volume, but by your peace. The words written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, describe your identity perfectly. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That statement is not poetic exaggeration, it's spiritual description. Light has no competition with darkness, it simply exists. And its existence changes everything around it. You are that light now, not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to be refined, purified, and poured out. But even light must learn discipline. It must know when to shine and when to rest, when to lead and when to linger. The brightest stars do not compete. They simply stay consistent. That is your calling, to remain steady even when the world grows dim. You've already seen how the enemy tries to use distraction to dull your brightness. He knows he cannot extinguish your flame, so he tempts you to scatter it. But you must guard your focus. The most effective warriors are not those who fight everything, they are those who know which battles are worth their strength. In this season, discernment is your shield. Your growth has also changed the way you experience solitude. Once loneliness felt like punishment. Now it feels like peace. You understand that divine intimacy often requires distance from noise. You have learned to value the hidden place, the space where heaven speaks in whispers, and you respond without words. Those moments are not wasted, they are sacred refueling. Every great assignment begins again in silence. Look back for a moment, chosen one. Think of the version of yourself that began this journey fearful, uncertain, searching for proof. Compare that to the person you are now, still human, still growing, but filled with quiet strength. You no longer chase signs, you carry substance. You don't beg for confirmation. You live in it. The transformation is complete, though the mission continues. You are now stepping into the phase of consistency, the long obedience in the same direction. The mountaintop moments are glorious, but they are not the goal. The real miracle is learning to walk faithfully in the ordinary, to carry heaven's flame through everyday routines, to let divine character shape every mundane decision. Because true greatness is not found in one grand act of faith, but in thousands of unseen obediences. Heaven measures legacy not by how loud your miracles are, but by how long your faith lasts. So, chosen one, as you stand in this calm after the storm, let peace settle deep. Let gratitude flow quietly. Let wisdom guide every step. You are no longer striving for a rival, you are living from it. The confirmation came. The oil matured. The fire remains. And now, the assignment continues not as a burden, but as a rhythm, as natural as breathing, as eternal as light itself. The circle is closing, chosen one. You have walked through the shadows, endured the silence, listened to the whisper, and now you stand beneath an open sky. What began as a call in the dark has become a revelation in full light. You have not merely survived the process, you have been reshaped by it. The journey did not change your destiny, it revealed it. Every moment of confusion, every season of delay, every prayer that seemed unanswered has led you here. Heaven wastes nothing. The tears you shed were seeds. The pain you endured was pressure shaping a vessel strong enough to hold purpose. You once prayed for confirmation, but heaven gave you transformation instead. Now, you carry both. You can sense it in your spirit. The landscape around you has changed. What once felt like a wilderness now feels like a garden. You have learned how to navigate spiritual weather, how to walk through rain without losing your flame. Your peace no longer depends on conditions. It springs from conviction. This is the proof of maturity, the evidence that the training has fulfilled its purpose. When heaven calls someone chosen, it is not a title, it is a task. To be chosen is to be entrusted with divine intention. You have been shaped into a vessel of clarity, not just to recognize God's voice, but to represent it. The confirmation that began this journey is no longer an external sign, it has become an internal knowing. You no longer look for God around you, you find Him within you. The spiritual realm responds to recognition. What you recognize, you can receive. What you receive, you can release. That is the rhythm of heaven's partnership with humanity. You have learned to move in that rhythm, to sense when to wait and when to walk, when to speak and when to stay silent. This balance, this awareness, is what makes your calling sustainable. The coming days will not be easier, but they will be clearer. Clarity replaces chaos when alignment is achieved. You now see that what the enemy meant for delay was actually divine choreography. The detours were directions. The closed doors were protection. The heartbreaks were holy pruning. You were never behind schedule, you were always in formation. Your spirit is quieter now, but not empty. It is full of wisdom, of perspective, of strength that doesn't need to prove itself. You are beginning to embody the calm of those who know who they are and whose they are. You walk differently now, not faster, not louder, but surer. Every step you take leaves imprints of light, unseen to most but undeniable to heaven. The Apostle Paul captured this reality in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Those words are not motivation, they are revelation. They describe the fusion between divine empowerment and human willingness. Strength is not borrowed, it's shared. You have learned that reliance is power, not weakness. The more you lean into heaven, the steadier your stride becomes. Look back. Chosen one. Remember the trembling heart that once asked for a sign. Remember the nights you questioned if you had heard correctly. Remember the moments when obedience felt like loss. Now see how every one of those pieces fits together into the masterpiece before you. You are the living proof that surrender never diminishes, it multiplies. This final stretch of your journey is not about striving, it's about sustaining. What heaven has built in you must now be guarded through rhythm, daily faithfulness, quiet discipline, unwavering devotion. The extraordinary has become your ordinary. The supernatural has woven itself into the simple act of waking, walking, and working with integrity. That is how the chosen live rooted, radiant, real. There will still be battles, of course, but battles no longer intimidate you, they reveal your authority. You've stopped praying for smaller storms and started thanking God for stronger wings. You've learned that peace is not found in escape, but in endurance. You have become what you once prayed for, a vessel of endurance, a carrier of light, a living prophecy fulfilled. You have been tested and proven. Your spirit is no longer fragile, it's forged. Heaven doesn't need to shout to get your attention anymore. Now it only needs to whisper, and you recognize the voice instantly. And as you stand on the threshold of whatever comes next, remember this confirmation was never meant to be the finish line. It was meant to be the commissioning. What began as a personal word has become a public witness. You are the continuation of what heaven started. The prophetic season has begun, but your story doesn't end here. The call will keep unfolding. The light will keep expanding. The fire will keep burning. You are chosen not just once, but daily. Every sunrise renews the assignment. Every breath continues the testimony. The message has been delivered. The word has been fulfilled, and the chosen one has awakened. Chosen one. You have reached the end of this divine unfolding, but truly, it is only the beginning. The words that found you here were not random. They were guided to your spirit like arrows of light. If something in these pages stirred your heart, if a sentence felt as though it was spoken directly into your soul, then heaven has already confirmed you were meant to hear this. Now, let the seed of this message take root. Don't rush away. Sit in the stillness for a moment. Feel how your heartbeat aligns with divine rhythm. You are no longer the same as when you began reading. You've walked through awakening, endurance, and confirmation, and now you carry a light that must not be hidden. Let that light ripple outward. Share this message not as promotion, but as purpose. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not feeding an algorithm, you're sending out a lifeline. You're helping another weary soul find the same confirmation that found you. You never know who's scrolling through the dark tonight, waiting for a whisper of hope. Your simple action might become that whisper. And if these words have poured strength into you, leave a comment as your testimony. Let your voice be the echo that keeps this flame alive. Tell heaven, tell the world I receive it. I am chosen, I am ready. Stay connected, stay awake, keep walking in light. The story does not end here, it multiplies every time it's shared, every time another heart says yes. You are part of something greater now, a divine network of chosen ones rising in unity and power. So take your place, carry the fire forward, and remember heaven is still speaking, and it has called your name.